I'm not sure who else you listen to or read. But as I recall, as I remember it, you probably can't help but imagine that the one who speaks about this has got something, whatever that something might be, and that's what you want. Well, you could say that's normally how it is if you listen to someone speaking about a subject. And with non-duality, it's probably the other way around, where you think that the one who's speaking has lost something that you could lose. And you'll have to take my word for this, but there's nothing to gain and nothing to lose. Now, in the story, it may well feel like losing. It almost certainly doesn't feel like gaining. And the losing can feel dreadful. Losing everything you've called yours, everything you've held dear, and that most precious of all, that you've called yourself. That sense that you have a self, that you are yourself, that I am myself. And probably this is all paradoxical, but the greatest paradox of all is that if you do lose your sense of self, you won't even notice. Because of course there was nothing to lose. There is neither self nor no self. There isn't a self to become no self. No self only makes any sense to self. There is neither. There is simply, well, there isn't. I say simply, it's not simple. It's more simple than simple. There's simply no knowing, knowing from not knowing. And if you really can't tell the difference between knowing and not knowing, then really nothing makes sense. So if you are waiting to make sense of all this nonsense that you've heard talk, that you've heard spoken, then you'll just be waiting. This isn't about making sense of life. This isn't coming to a conclusion. A resting place. An ending. And so in that sense, it really isn't what you want, because it's not about knowing. I posted something today or yesterday about not knowing. And of course, you get comments like, well, who is it that knows that they don't know? And, and of course, as funny as they are, I know they're asked in all seriousness, because self wants to know. Well, who is it that knows that there's no knowing? I don't know. But it is quite wonderful when the one who cared about knowing doesn't care. There's no concern about not knowing. The whole illusion that knowing kept me safe is dead. The whole illusion that understanding would bring me closer is dead. Knowing is empty. Understanding is empty. Useful for fixing the car, not for knowing the absolute. So if you want to know, then you should you should be listening to someone who knows and will tell you that they know and has a conviction that they know. And then you too may have a conviction that you know. But it won't bring you any closer. There is no closer or any further away. This is completely unapproachable when there's no distance. If there's no space between, there is nothing to be approached. Well, that feels like it for an introduction, for what it's worth. So if you'd like to ask anything or share anything, feel free to do so. If you've got a topic that you'd like me to wax lyrical about, or anything really.
Michael, he's got his hand up. Go ahead, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Tim. Could you say it's the seeking that creates the distance, the imaginary distance?
Yeah, you could say, yeah. But of course, it's only seemingly. It's no, I mean, there is no distance. There is no distance. But no, I would say, I wouldn't say, if I was looking at, I mean, there isn't a cause. If I was trying to work it out, which I did spend a long time doing that, by the way, I would say no. The root cause is the sense of being me. And then because I feel separate, then I look to become whole. I look to connect and become one. And so that if I if I was going to causality, I would go to the cause of the seeking as me, and then because I feel incomplete, inadequate, not good enough, I'm always seeking in every way that self-seek to become okay, to be enough.
Mhm.
There's no end to the ways that selves can envisage what might. I mean, usually what I did, like most of you have done, you've just gone from one strategy to another from throughout your life. I mean, it started out, I don't know, it nearly always starts out materially for most, and relationally, so in relationships and in, oh, I know, here it was some academic success, looking for that will make me feel okay. But of course that didn't work. Relationships, that didn't work. Career, that didn't work. But of course they all work within relatively for a period. But if I am the seeking, if the energy comes from the sense of separation, then of course none of them is going to be a quick fix.
Do you see seeking as objectified longing, that all of life is longing, that seeking is just part of this life's longing, this feeling of incompleteness, that probably if other sentient beings could objectify their reality, they would feel that something is missing?
Do you think? I'm not sure, Michael. I doubt that. Of course we can't know. There's no knowing that. But if I look at my cat, you know, it has desire and longing for food and for a shit, but that's about it. And maybe a stroke. But I wouldn't say that it has the longing. I think they're just impulsive desire, really. I think maybe longing's just for human beings. But we can't know that. I must admit, I don't spend any time contemplating such things. It seems obvious that my cat doesn't have longing, but I don't know that.
Cats are pretty comfortable. If they were in a wild state, than more natural condition,
Yeah,
it seems that the fox, the deer, the monkey is this constant desire for those things that fulfill life's mandate to survive and reproduce, with occasional rest periods once all of those are met. But it comes back again. It always returns. That humans have objectified that and personalized it.
yeah,
It seems. And
yeah.
it can't.
You know, I mean, I'm not. We'll take another. I mean, you said sentient beings. I mean, I don't think trees have longing, but again, we can't know that.
Well, they're not really sentient. I meant organisms that relate to their environment through their senses. That it seems to me, and again, this is objectification of perceptual input, that all of life is longing. Trees reach for the sun. And of course, that can never be fulfilled, except in us when the structure collapses. But the longing remains. It's the funniest thing. Those who have this continue to speak for some reason. They're longing for contact, longing for what? This life's longing.
Yeah,
That,
I mean, it is. Yeah, that kind of doesn't make sense because I mean, you're dead right. Here the longing is more obvious than it ever was.
Mm.
Yeah. But it's not, I will say, but it's not a problem. Now that is different.
Yes.
Now that's very different. So the longing is undeniable.
Mm.
But it's kind of like it's really obvious that it can't be fulfilled.
Oh.
And so it's not a problem. It just feels like love. The only problem with longing is the need to fulfill it. Without the need to fulfill it, it's not a problem. It's quite, I mean, there is a sadness to it that self wouldn't like, but that sadness feels like love.
Mm.
Now, I'm not saying it is love before you say anything. I'm saying, but it can feel like it.
Could you say a sublime melancholia?
Well, sometimes I have to say, I mean, there isn't a constant melancholia. No, I wouldn't say that. And yet it might always be a kind of background, even in joy. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I think for here, the melancholia or the melancholy is that there can't be the fulfillment. So when there's been a lifetime of longing and great effort to try and assuage that longing, to fulfill it, to find fulfillment, the obviousness that there is no fulfillment because there's nothing to be fulfilled. If everything is fulfilled, of course, there can be no fulfillment. and that there is a sadness about that.
Mm.
Especially for the one who tried. A lot of the sadness here is for all the selves who I just see trying so hard.
Mm.
And if you do see that, or if you do feel that, then yeah, that is a deep sadness.
Mm.
And yet that feels like love as well.
Oh, I was thinking the same thing. It's beautiful, Tim. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. You know what? It's seen like hungry full. I always used to think about this, like, I don't know, it seems like when I was younger, I'd have this thought of hungry full. Like, I'm really, really like very full because I ate everything on my plate. You know, my mom might have told me to do that. So I did. And then I'm like very full, but here comes a piece of chocolate cake in front of me. And I'm like, oh God. So it's not really a problem. I mean, yeah, I might get a tummy ache later, but I'm still, you know, desiring this taste of the sweetness, even though I'm full. And for me, that's life. It's a hungry fullness. Am I sad about it? Not really. Just like if I overeat and I eat the cake, I'm okay, you know, it'll be okay. And if I'm full. I mean, look what I've got all around me. I've got all this stuff. There's life. This right here is all happening. I'm so full, but I'm still hungry because I still want to feel really great all the time.
Yeah.
So what? You know, oh well.
Yeah, you still want
I
cake.
know. I just want all the cake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it's like Richard's book, but it's all tea and cake. All of it. Just eat it all up. And you'll still be hungry. So it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay that it's not okay. I mean, I think that's what a lot of the waiting, I was waiting until it was all okay. Really. That was
What is okay?
yeah, exactly. Well, I didn't know that. I mean, I think really the absence of everything that I said I didn't like, really, that's what it meant. So I didn't like feeling sad. I didn't like loss. I didn't like failure. So okayness was the absence of all of those things. But of course, that's not how life is. And so it's endless failure in the search for that okayness. When the okayness really is that it's very, very okay that life isn't okay. That stuff happens that I don't like, that I don't enjoy. That irritates me, that annoys me. I mean, the whole illusion is that it's you who's annoyed. No, annoyance is absolutely natural. Disgust, revulsion. Abhorrence. They all still appear. It's all okay. That's what I mean.
Kathy has a hand up.
Hello.
Hi, Kathy.
I'm a little bit disappointed.
Are you?
Yeah.
What, in me?
Yeah.
Oh no. What have I done? You know something I don't, probably.
The longing is still there?
Yeah.
No. For who? For what?
It's the same. Well, the thing is, here's the tale, Kathy. You don't have to believe it, but here's the tale. Just like everything else that I claimed for myself, longing is just another one of those on the list. So I claimed it was me who had all the feelings. They were all mine. Turns out, no. It's just another one. I get why you're disappointed. I completely understand the disappointment in that. Surely without me, the longing would fuck off. The best I can offer you, Kathy, is it's got a different flavor. You know, it's a different flavor of longing, if that's
It's not that heavy. It's not heavy.
some tiny compensation, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Tim?
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
Did you have, I know you were a teacher, phys ed teacher and all that. Did you have like a strong spiritual thing simultaneously, at some point or then or whatever?
Sorry, I didn't get the first bit. Did I have a strong what?
Spiritual connection, like,
No.
a guru or something.
No.
No.
Unless you're talking, if you call Tony Parsons a guru, then yeah. But if you call him that, he's not going to fucking like it. But no, not spiritual. I was, if I tell my story of as a seeker, I was a psychological seeker. I was searching for self. Searching to understand self, and then if I understood self, then I could heal self and I could become a complete self. I could become a successful self. I could become a happy self. That was my search.
Yeah.
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 But really seeking is all the same. So whether it's material or psychological or relational or spiritual, really is seeking. It's looking for something else. It's the very essence of me is that this isn't it. This isn't good enough. Because it isn't that I'm not good enough, but this is good enough. This isn't good enough and I'm not good enough. They go hand in hand. They're not separate, because of course it is one and the same.
So it doesn't get any easier.
Will it get any easier?
Mhm.
Well, no, nothing will ever, well, no, nothing will ever be any different than it is. So in that sense, no. I mean, no. No, things are as they are, Kathy, aren't they? You know,
Yeah.
really, there is no hope. And I know that sounds hopeless, but it's not. The absence of hope is the end of hopelessness. This isn't any more hopeful any more than it is hopeless. Without hope, there's no hopelessness. Of course, there is for me, because I live. I mean, if I'm incomplete, if this is incomplete, if life is incomplete, then of course I'm utterly reliant on hope.
Yeah.
Sure. It's like all I've got.
That's all we have.
Yeah, it's all we have. That's what everyone says. It's all we have. Well, I'm telling you, you don't have it. And all hope
can't be figured out.
All hope does is confirm that this isn't complete. This isn't it. This isn't whole. But there is hope that it could be. So although this sounds hopeless, it's really not. It's saying that everything is already whole, complete, okay, no matter how it is. And of course, that is never going to be acceptable to me. It's not, because I judge everything. I am the judge that says, well, this needs fixing, that needs fixing, I need fixing, she needs fixing. The world needs, the earth needs fixing. Now, I might not get so grandiose as to go to the whole universe and try and fix that, but self would if it could.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I believe that.
I would fix it all. And just playing God.
Just can't be understood at all. This longing.
No.
Just can't. It's
And
weird.
I have to say, I mean, I know I like it that you said you're disappointed, because when that really hit, it was a disappointment.
Yeah.
That's not what I was buying. That's not what I was in the non-duality game for, you know, buying all the books, watching endless YouTube. Surely I'm just going to get all the good stuff. Well, no, this is not offering any way, any state. It's not offering anything. An offer is about something that will come, and there's nothing to come. I mean, that is the whole liberation. I mean, there it is, smack. The liberation is there's nothing to come. That's it.
Yeah, nothing to come. Yeah, yeah, nothing to come. Nothing to wait for. Nothing to hope for. Yeah.
No.
It's just the longing should be ending. There should be no longing. That is.
But it's a bit like everything else. Without it being my longing, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's being human.
I don't want to go there. I can't go there. I don't understand that, but that's good. That like eases it a little tiny bit. It's not my longing.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
that.
I'm a shit salesman, I know that. I should just be saying all the longing will disappear. There'll be no sadness, no grief. What else do you want to get rid of? Oh, no fear, no pain, no suffering. And don't, of course, you can go and listen to speakers who will offer you that. Well, you can. We're going to make a concession about what. It's got to be better. It's got to be something better, hasn't there? So what is better is it's not that fear doesn't appear, but it's that the fear of fear really doesn't appear. I was terrified of fear because fear always said, I could die. I am at great risk and I'm compelled that I need to act on fear. Because my very existence was at risk. Well, none of that. There's no one at risk. I don't mean physically, you know, I don't mean a truck or a rabid dog. I mean, all that psychological shit about keeping myself safe. We just have this one word. Our language is very limited, but we have this one word, fear. And yet physical, instinctual, animal fear is very, very different from psychological fear, anxiety fear, paranoid fear, which is all for me. I will say it's not that I've become fearless, though. Don't, you know, it's not that. And I have heard, you know, there's stories about in order to approach this, you need courage. Well, you don't need courage. This is in spite of you. There's no one to be courageous. You could be as cowardly as you like. It won't make a shit of difference. Again, it does feel like love because I mean, I don't, I haven't deserved this. I haven't earned this. I haven't warranted this. This has nothing to do with me. And nor is your life. Isn't that wonderful? Me won't like it though. It's nothing to do with anyone. Because there isn't anyone. No matter the convictions that most of your friends will tell you that they know themselves. And that they know that they're in control. Right.
Jenny's got a hand up.
Jenny, nice to see you.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Jenny.
Nice to see you.
And you?
I was just wondering, is there any way to understand the idea that nothing is happening?
No. What? No. Right. No, not at all, is there? Because all understanding can only be of what is happening. So you can, so if you think about what is understanding, understanding is about things, which is what is happening. You know, an understanding is making connections between seeming events and seeming things. And so that's what's happening, what seems to be happening. So all understanding is in the relative. No, of course not. Nothing is, if I'm talking about nothing, it's just an abstract word. It means bugger all. It doesn't mean anything. It just means the absolute. It's a way of referring to that which can't be spoken of. So I like to call it nothing or emptiness, because at least there is a suggestion in those words that they can't be known, because of course you couldn't know nothing, could you? Because there'd be nothing to know. Now there isn't nothing, a thing called nothing, and there isn't emptiness, a thing called emptiness. They're words to suggest that which can't be known, which can't be understood. So no, definitely not. But again,
thank
there's
you.
plenty of people who would tell you that they can. So when I speak of not knowing, that's why I say not knowing, because all knowing is relative. All knowing is about things and events. So things objectively in space, and events, things that happened in time, and the relationships between them, that's understanding. But not nothing, no. Not emptiness. So I can't say I understand that, no. I wouldn't trust anyone who said they do. I'd laugh. What would you understand about nothing?
That's what I was just going to say.
No, nothing. Well, you would. What do you understand? Nothing. Oh yeah, that'd be it. Yeah. Well, it's nothing. So what do you understand about it? Nothing? Well, there's the understanding. There's no more to be said. But for a while, Darren and I were in a group. Oh, we had a friend who set up a non-duality, I don't know, platform called Seeking Nothing. Well, there you have it. So nearly every self is seeking something, and then a few poor bastards hear of nothing and then go off in search of it and wonder why they're so frustrated they can't find it. Oh, and the joke wasn't lost on us, and we were a part of it. Well, we had two friends who ran it for a while, and I did my first ever talk for Seeking Nothing, and I do like it because it's a very appropriate phrase for non-duality, because there you have been all your life seeking something, a whole range of somethings, going from one something to the next, because that didn't, oh yeah, that was it for a while, then it wasn't, so I'm on to the next something. None of it worked. Fucking hell, of course. It was nothing that I needed. Let's go and find that fucker. I mean, I'm joking about it, but it was torturous here. I mean, it was painful as hell. I make light of it, and yet there was a great deal of suffering in looking for nothing. What joke? I mean, cosmic joke.
Laura has a hand up.
Laura,
Hello.
hello.
When you were just some seconds ago talking about the, I don't know, like the psychological fear that somehow are the end of that, it somehow, that was something like that resonated. I would say that in this, my case here, psychological fear is almost like as if it is locked into this body, and it's a like a hard time. I would say it's the most intense suffering, this psychological fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, and then the conditioning here was like from the family side, also like adding on to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But something like when you were just, you were sharing out of that space, that this psychological fear that didn't get somehow fueled anymore at one point for you there. So there was something like just, oh gosh, like there was something like just resonating in my heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that.
Oh, no, you're welcome. One of the motivations, I mean, I know I say it's pointless and it's meaningless and there is nothing in this, but a lot of the motivation comes from, I suffered a great deal from anxiety and psychological fear,
Yeah.
self-loathing, you know, just an overpowering sense of not good enough, of not enough. And yeah, freedom from that is worth talking about. Plenty of other shit without that, to be honest. The trouble with self, one of the troubles, there are many. The trouble with self is a lot of selves love that shit. I feel so real when I'm suffering. And what self wants to feel most of all is real. Being unreal. And don't get me wrong, self likes good stuff as well, but it will take the terrible and suffering, because that will make me feel very solid, very substantial. Me and my sad story. You may have noticed that when you talk to selves.
And it's like it plays with that, it'll play with that story and tell it over and over again to itself in different ways. Yeah.
Well, and of course, all solutions to that, you know, all solving your misery, I just add more fuel to it, because what they do is make it, every time you're working on yourself, you're making yourself more real and more faulty.
I was thinking about what Kathy was saying about, she said something like, is there any relief? And you were talking about longing. And I was thinking about how when longing feels like mine, it feels like there's a search for something or for an answer. And when that search isn't there anymore, that's a relief.
Yeah.
That's a relief.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, when there's nowhere to go, you can go anywhere. I know. It'll all be the same. It'll all look different and it'll feel different, but there'll be a sameness that, which is another thing you can't talk about. My grandfather used to say, well, that's the same, only different. That's my grandfather. That's my impersonation of him. How very non-dual of you. What was it like? What was it like, Grandad? Well, it was the same, only different. That's good, isn't it?
Say something more, or do I have to raise the hand again?
No, I think you're fine, Laura. Go on.
Okay. Like it's in a way, I'm still circling around that fear thing, because in a way I feel it's sometimes as if it is one of the biggest taboos also. It's like, and there was such a relief like talking with you about it, because it's like, it's somehow like I experience it in normal daily life, like in society, as if it is something you must not talk about it.
Yeah.
You must not just mention even, because like then it feels like, oh shit, I'm like somehow spotted or detected that, yeah. And then I have to, then it's like, oh, then I have to face my own abyss or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah,
And
there's self puts a lot of energy, a lot of effort into hiding fear.
yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. It is quite a revelation to realize, or the realization that fear is nothing to fear. And that might sound like just playing with words, but I do mean it. I mean it literally like that, that fear arises. Fear is absolutely natural. But then what self does, because it's afraid of fear, then it is a spiral. It's like a vicious circle. So the fear feeds fear, which feeds fear. And I'm guessing most of you know that. But fear is nothing to fear. Fear is absolutely natural. But what is self-fear? Self-fears humiliation. A load of selves fear being seen. Wow. One of the most liberating things that could ever happen is you to realize that you can't be seen. No one's seen you. No one could see you. No one's ever seen you. There is nothing to see. They see a face, a body, some mannerisms, some habitual behaviors, and then they say they know you. Do they fuck? They don't know you. They can't see you. You do the same, and then you collude with each other to say, oh, isn't it lovely now we really know each other? Fuck off. You don't know anyone. You've never known anyone. And of course, all this delusion comes from, I know myself. So I am deluded that I know myself. And so, of course, if I know myself, I can know yourself. It's absolute nonsense. And yet you could say, now that is the greatest collusion of all. Selves collude with each other to say that we know each other. It's not true. Don't get me wrong, it's liberating as hell, but it can feel devastating as well that you've never known anyone. Think of all the people who are most precious to you, who you say you really know, and then you have never known them. You don't know them now, you never have known them, you never will know them. There's no one to be known. So it's like liberating and devastating in equal measure, you could say. The devastation doesn't last for long. The liberation does. In the story. But of course, it's the end of self-consciousness when no one can see you. You know, self-consciousness as it's used in English. There's these two phrases for knowing yourself in English. One is self-awareness and the other one is self-consciousness. And it's interesting, they mean the same thing, but one is positive. You need to work on my self-awareness to really understand and be aware of myself. There's a lot of therapy in that. And then the other one is self-consciousness, which is the negative, which is others can see me and I'm fucking terrified of them seeing who I really am. So I've got to put on a good show in case they see through the facade and see the real me underneath. So there isn't a real me underneath. Wow. So it then, and it's the end of the need for a facade, for putting on a show. You can do it for fun, but you'll never believe it again.
Sophie has a hand up.
Hi, Sophie.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
Hi. It's quite devastating, like no one to know. I mean, that's a big thing.
Sorry, you have to speak up a little bit. Can you get a bit closer? I can't quite hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go on.
Yes. I say it's quite devastating, like that there is no one to know.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It is. Like we're so convinced we don't.
Yeah, when I say the loss, the greatest loss of all is the loss of self. But after, second to that is the loss of everyone else that are part of me, you know? So,
Yeah.
So family and
it's a big thing.
And all your close friends who you say you know. When
Yeah.
it's just, don't get me wrong, you still know what you say you know about them. You still know that, but it's empty, because unless that unless that knowledge of them refers to them as a self, which it doesn't, if that is obvious that you can't see their self, which is who they are.
So it's just knowledge about them. It's only
Yeah.
knowledge.
So what you have the stories, and in a way, it can feel devastating, but again, it can feel like love, because you still have all the stories, you have all the shared memories, but of course there isn't, when I say shared memories, there's your memory and then there's their memory of the events where you're together. And as you well know, they're not the fucking same, are they? There is no history that's true.
No.
There are as many histories as there were individual human beings at an event. That's all.
Yeah.
But you do have, yeah. So it is a loss, and it can feel devastating, but it's hugely liberating.
In what way? In what way liberating?
In two ways, really. One that you're always concerned about how you appear to others in case they see you. This sense of so there's a longing to be seen. Self has a longing to be seen and known by the other, but it's also terrified of that.
To be seen.
Because they'll see the real me, that not the one that I put on a show.
Right.
So freedom from that is hugely liberating. And the other liberation is that you just see human beings and there's no longer a desire to know the other, because it's impossible, because there isn't one.
Yeah.
And there's such an ease in relating with other people, other human beings, without that sense of needing to get to know you. There is no need to get to know another. There isn't another to know. So naturally you will accumulate some knowledge and memories of your interactions with them and how you feel being around them. And I will say, how you feel around another human being will be all that's important. So all that will be important without trying to learn about them and know their self. All there is the sense you get when you're with them. So the ones that you like being with and feels good to be around, you don't need to know why, it just does. You're very happy to see them again. And the ones you felt shit around, you'll just say no when they say, you'll lie and make an excuse because you don't want to hang around with them because you don't feel good. And there's a great simplicity in that. That might sound a bit cold, but it's not at all. It's really natural and easy. But there aren't any, there is no one to know. Sounds
very liberating, because I used to so much wanting to know the other and learn about the other, and it gave me some kind of I don't know, some kind of power or control, like I know something. And
absolutely. Like oh no, self loves it, because if I know you, then I do feel, self feels very empowered with that knowledge.
And also very safe, because I know the other now.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah. So safety as well. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
There's just a question in chat from Lily. She says, when you were talking about fear of fear earlier, she said, hi, Tim, what about the fear of a loved one getting hurt?
Yeah, that's because they're part of you. Don't get me wrong. It's very natural to have a fear of loved ones being in danger. But there is a difference between just a natural fear that, say, an animal would have, you could say an instinctual natural fear, and then a neurotic fear. And a neurotic fear, by that I mean when my fear is really for myself and how I would feel if they were hurt, and it would be my fault and it would be my responsibility. So all that neurotic fear that I have to keep them safe. And the other thing that's liberating, which sounds dreadful, but is liberating, is that there is no safety. So all my best laid plans and attempts to keep my loved ones safe, I don't mean, I'm not telling you not to do that. It's natural to do it, but don't for a moment think that that will keep them safe. There is no safety. None. Self is obsessed with safety. Even the risk-taking selves. Has anybody else got a question or anything else they'd like to ask or share?
I do. It's Avery. Can you hear me?
Avery, yeah, go.
What about the fact that all of you all talk about dying, about your
Who are
death?
you do? Wait a minute, Avery. Hold your horses there. Who are you referring to, all of you? Who is this all of you?
There's half a dozen of you who all speak the same. And
Don't be categorizing me like that. I should get shitty with you if you do that. Don't you put me in some box.
Well,
okay, sorry, I'm kind of joking, but not. Go on.
Well, what about the death? You do talk about it, right? Sometimes the death of the self.
Yeah.
And you say that there's nothing to do and nothing can happen, and there's
Yeah.
no point waiting for it. But what else can you do?
Well, you can do anything, Avery. No, you mean, so what you, well, there is a seeming death. It may feel like if self gets afraid enough, then it may feel like its very existence is being threatened. But if that fear stops turning up, then there's not even a noticing that it ever was, other than a memory. But if you ask me what to do, there isn't anything to do, no.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, you're saying that there is nothing to do. And I understand that. But
what to kill you, what to kill, to kill the ego, to kill me, do you mean?
well, you're saying basically that until the me disappears, then we're still going to be struggling, yearning for this thing that we think that you have.
It might sound like I'm saying that, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there is no me. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but that becomes abundantly clear once you've died.
Seems like, yeah.
Up before that, it's a concept from our point of view.
Yeah, with maybe it's a concept, or maybe there's been what you could say there's been moments where it's obvious, and then there's a real sense of, okay, I'm back seeking again. What I'm saying is all of that. I'm not saying that the me does die, Avery. I'm saying there is no me to die. Now, they sort of sound the same. They might sound like I'm just splitting hairs with that, but I'm not. I'm saying there is no me. I'm saying there is no Avery. There's no self in Avery doing Avery. That's what I'm saying.
But from this side of the fence, that's the concept.
Well,
until it happens, right? And then it's abundantly clear that there never was one.
Avery, there's no fences. Not even sitting on a fence, and certainly no sides of the fence. But I know what you mean, yeah. Of course it can, yeah. If it seems just like concepts, then it seems just like concepts, and it seems intellectual understanding or however. But for most people who come to this, if you've been listening to it for a while, there may be two elements to it. There is the intellectual understanding, which is fucking worthless, by the way.
Right.
And then really, utterly. And then there is what we might call resonance, or a felt sense of, I don't know why, I don't know how, but because it sounds like complete nonsense and it sounds an impossibility. But there's a sense of, I don't know what word to use. That
a sense of no being.
No, it's a sense that, oh yeah, everything is okay.
Well, that's how it seems for me. I mean, I feel that I don't have any problems with any of this stuff, but I'm stuck on this idea that you all seem to have died. And I feel exactly the same way as you do.
Avery, you haven't been listening. I have not died. There's no fucker to die. Pay attention. Sorry, Avery. But I'm not saying anyone's died. No, there's no one to die. That's the whole message. The whole message is that you are already, Avery.
Dead.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Dead and alive. There you go. No one is dead and alive. That's it.
Okay.
But there isn't someone to die, no. But there can be, and there usually is with nearly every human being, this powerful bodily felt sense, this conviction that I am inside this body. I am this body as well as being inside it. But everything else is not me. So life is happening to me. So I possess this, but I don't possess all of that.
But you don't feel that.
No, there isn't that. That's the illusion. That's all we're ever speaking about. That's the whole shebang.
But that's what everybody's listening here is trying to just find out how that takes place.
Avery, you will not find out. There's nothing to find out.
Well, how did you find out?
I didn't.
Well, how did it disappear?
I don't know.
Well, that's what we all want to know.
Well, don't ask me. You're in the wrong place. I said that at the beginning. This isn't a place where you're going to get the information which will take you to another place. There is no other place. There is nowhere to go.
It's like, I was thinking it's like Mission Impossible. It's like searching for the end of the search, but it's seeking. So it can't find it.
Well, it is an impossibility, but
Yeah.
I get it, Avery. I mean, I don't mean to shout, but it's been a long day.
Well,
I had Brendan ringing me while I was still in bed this morning. I mean, I've been on this shit all day long.
right.
Oh, God.
Well, I hope you break your handicap after this.
Avery, yeah, while we're on the subject, I had a really good round yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah,
Great.
I did.
Right.
I played to 8. I played to single figures yesterday.
Oh,
which,
right.
if you're not a golfer, it means nothing. But if you are a golfer, you might be moderately impressed.
I am. I'm definitely.
There you go.
impressed.
Avery is. See, it's worth talking to a
Right.
golfer. Thanks,
See,
Avery.
you couldn't have done it if you hadn't have been gone.
Well,
If you
I
weren't there, you couldn't
confessed,
have done it.
I have confessed before that, you know, how will life be better after liberation? Well, your golf will improve.
That's it. Right. Thanks, bro. I appreciate
So
it.
really, all of you need to, if you're not playing, you need to start. Not really. Thanks, Avery.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have you
You're
got time,
welcome.
got time for one more?
Go on then.
Natalie, she's got her hand up.
Natalie's going to talk about chocolate cake.
Yes, I'm making faces on carrots today.
Oh,
Yeah, fun. But anyway,
carrots.
there's nothing to know. And yet, when I used to hear this, people would say, well, you can't hear me because you're not hearing the same thing. I'm just not able to resonate with some people, and others.
No,
There's a resonance, and I don't know why, you know.
no.
It's just very like, oh, okay, well, that one, yes. Or I don't like that one story. I'm not going to listen to it, you know.
No.
I'd rather make a top hat for a bunny, you know. This is the kind of stuff I do, Willy Wonka. But no,
Well-
I just thought it's funny just how people are like, they know something. What is it? And it's like, it's already like this. You're not missing out, but it's just not heard in a way, you know. It's just not heard. But that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Thanks, Natalie.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone for coming. Lovely to see you all. Quick plug, I'm in Hampstead a week on Saturday, if you could make it. So the 18th of February, and then I'm also in Hampstead on the 18th of March.
From 2 o'clock.
Both 2 o'clock at Philadelphia Association in Hampstead, North London. Yeah, and a few people have already booked for Asheville, which is lovely. And I'm still waiting on a venue for San Francisco World Tour. Oh dear. Well, it's not a world tour. Well, it is if you're American, because of course, if you're American, then that is the whole world, isn't it? But yeah, so that'll be on the website shortly once I've got a venue. But yeah, it'd be lovely to see some of you in Hampstead if you could make it. Also, I'm also going to Copenhagen in October, but I haven't put those details on the website yet, but I will do in the next couple of weeks.
Thanks
very much for coming, everyone. Lovely to see you all.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Tim.
Darren.
Appreciate it,
Thanks,
man.
Tim.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Tim.
Bye.
Thanks, Dan and Tim.
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Tim.
Bye.